So the reading I have this morning is from Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle. Many things in your life matter, but only one thing matters absolutely. It matters whether you succeed or fail in the eyes of the world. It matters whether you are healthy or not healthy, whether you are educated or not educated. It matters whether you are rich or poor. It certainly matters, makes a difference in your life. Yes, all these things matter, relatively speaking, but they don't matter absolutely. There is something that matters more than any of those things, and that is finding the essence of who you are beyond that short-lived entity, that short-lived personalized sense of self. You will find peace by not rearranging the circumstances of your life, but by realizing who you are at the deepest level. When you know who you truly are, there's an abiding, alive sense of peace. You could call it joy, because that's what joy is, vibrantly alive peace. It is the joy of knowing yourself as the very life essence before life takes on form. That is the joy of being who you truly are.
Even primates know we need each other, right? We need each other to survive, to feel alive, to be. So, I'm going to tell you what the easy way is, and I'm going to tell you what the hard way is. And then, if you want to leave, you can, right? Just kidding. Just kidding. The easy way to move through life is together. And together with love, and together with support. Together to have someone to lean on. The hard way is going it alone. Closing up. Being apart from and separate from. Or feeling like you are anyway. Okay, you can't leave her. I was just kidding. Our life is more complete. It's more satisfying. It's more enjoyable when we have somebody, and we know we have somebody that we can lean on, that we can count on to be there for us. And I think that's probably the biggest perk about spiritual community here at Common Ground, is we always know there's somebody we can connect with if we have something going on in our life. And we know that that person has our best interest at heart. We know that person is open-minded on a very similar spiritual path that we're on. So we aren't going to be judged for our beliefs or our thoughts. It's especially important to have that community when we feel like we have a problem that is so big and that's so immediate that it feels at that particular time that it's beyond solution. Anybody ever have that? Yeah. That's when we can reach out. We can make that choice. Because when we do reach out, somebody will say to you, when you want to say, but I'm only human, what am I supposed to do? Then your community is going to remind you that you're not only human, that human part of you is a shell encapsulating that divine of you. When you are reminded of that, it becomes an open invitation for you to release that divine potential that lies within you. Sometimes we need to be reminded of that. We can then begin to identify ourselves as that limitless expression of love. This is what I like to remember, and I need to more frequently than I do. And that is this. Anytime that we have a problem, anytime that we have a deep need in our lives, the very fact that we're having that experience is absolute, concrete evidence that the answer to that issue is already available. We already have the answer. You know why that's true? Because life doesn't give us challenges that we are not equipped to handle. I know that's the truth. Does it always feel that way? Not a chance. That was a quick no. No, it doesn't always feel that way. And I know that that's the truth. And the way that we can recognize that and really know that is just simply say yes to that creative flow, that process of life. No, it's not always easy. You're absolutely right. We are, though, called to know that, have the faith that life has our back, no matter what the appearance of the circumstance. The universe has this great sense of humor, as I'm sure you all know, because as I'm putting the talk together this week, I thought, well, I could use this advice. I got something going on in my life that feels overwhelming. And it feels like it's out of my control. And guess what? It is out of my control. And I'm called to trust life, to know that life has everyone's best interest at heart, not just mine, but the whole situation is being handled by life. I just don't like the way it's going right now. But anyway, that's not the point. Right? That's none of my business. That is none of my business. What I find really interesting is that the Chinese translate the word crisis into English with symbols. Two words, danger and opportunity. Is that great? Danger and opportunity. So when we feel like we're in crisis, when we see someone in crisis, then we can look at that and say, but you know what? What a great opportunity for growth. Do we always want to hear that? No. So you might say it under your breath if it's a friend, until they're ready to hear it. Carl Jung wrote this, your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. And that's what we want, isn't it? To awaken. When we get caught up in the problems of everyday life, and everybody has them, when we get caught up in them, though, we miss the joy. We tend to overlook who we are, what we're capable of doing, what we have. And like Eckhart Tolle put it in that reading Sue did, joy is that vibrantly alive peace. Isn't that what we all desire? That peace, that joy, that harmony. And we can have it. Life does promise us that. So I want to tell you a story about this pig and this chicken. They're talking animals, of course. It's a true story, though. Okay, I want to make sure you guys are still awake. This pig and this chicken are walking together down the street, yapping to each other. And they come by this big, huge charity event. And they're really impressed with what's going on. And it's Save the Animals charity, let's say. I don't know. And so the pig said to the chicken, this is such a great charity. This is really a great thing, and I think we should contribute to this. And the chicken said, you know, I think you're right. Let's offer up ham and eggs. And the pig said, hey, not so fast. For you, that's a contribution. For me, that's total commitment. It's true, I tell you. Silly, I know. I do want to tell you a true story where animals don't talk. About a situation that went from contribution to total commitment. How many of you have heard of the Landfill Harmonic Orchestra? 60 Minutes did a special on it just a couple weeks ago. I hope you can see this. Because these instruments are made of garbage. They are made of waste. In the poorest area of Cachoeira, Paraguay, is the city's trash dump. And this town is built on a landfill. And people work the landfill and go through the garbage and the trash. That's their job. That's what they do. That is the only work available in this community. I believe what they said was they go through this landfill collecting and they get like 10 cents a pound for aluminum and 5 cents a pound for cardboard. They work day and night. Again, this is the only thing they have. Now this community, being such a poor, destitute community, a lot of drug violence, a lot of gangs, alcoholism, all kinds of things that unfortunately we come to expect in a very, very poor, desolate, destitute community. Well, a few years ago, they call them garbage pickers. I just don't like that name. One of the garbage pickers, his name is Cola, got together with a local musician. His name is Fabio Chavez. And what they started doing was collecting garbage and making instruments. These kids had never even heard music before. They don't know who Beethoven is. Mozart is such a foreign concept to them. And this man, Cola, started making instruments. And he never in his life had seen a violin. Imagine that. Well, the violins and the cellos, I don't know how well you can see, are made from oil drums. That's one of the things they use. They make the flutes. They use water pipes, metal bottle caps, plastic spoons. And then the guitars, they use packing crates. Ingenious, don't you think? They were saying that a real violin, it isn't a possibility to have in that community because a violin costs more than a house.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So Fabio slowly put together the world's most unlikely orchestra. And they give free lessons. They spend a lot of time. They use one of the church. I think they have a church, and I believe they use that for their first concert. They're in town. These children, these youth, are so impassioned by this that they don't have time for anything else. They don't have time now to run the streets, to do the other stuff. They are so engrossed in what they're doing, learning the music and playing the music. Not only is it changing the lives of those children, it's changing the lives of their parents. Because you see those children, the parents actually, thought those children were destined to be garbage pickers the rest of their life. And all of a sudden, they see new opportunities. All of a sudden, life looks a little bit better, a lot better. Now, not only are they changing lives, but they're also dealing with that issue of poverty. They are dealing with that issue of waste, pollution, right? It's just an amazing story. Bringing hope to all of those families, bringing a reason to be, and allowing them to touch that which is so deep within them. They've been touring. It's gotten to a point, this has been since 2010. Excuse me, and I think this year, I'm not sure, they just began touring the United States. They had toured the UK, but they'd never even been out of their own community. Their parents had never been out of that community. Isn't that amazing? It's a beautiful story. What I intend to do is in the email, I'm going to send you their link because you must hear this music. It's beautiful. It's amazing. You would think with that junk, literally, that it couldn't make music. And it is tuned beautifully. They have done a remarkable job with this. And we're all here on this planet, right here and right now, to awaken, to reflect, to observe, to do our part, to lend a hand as Spirit unfolds and manifests itself in a plethora of ways. We all have the wisdom. We all have the ability to adapt to whatever it is that needs to be done. You know why? because we don't get challenges without already having the solution. It's there. Plain and simple, there's only one thing that can move us into that space of opening up, and that is that unconditional love. It makes us whole. It fills our soul. It provides us with that joy that we are seeking. It's that kind of love that's exhibited here in Paraguay. That unconditional love. It's about giving. It's about sharing. It's about supporting. They absolutely have each other's back. And what a beautiful gift that is. Unconditional love has that power to heal anything. It binds people together. It establishes and creates incredible relationships with others. And as we move along our spiritual path, what I have noticed is the most profound change that we experience is that shift from I to we. It's never about I anymore, is it? Where we realize that we're in this thing called life together, and that what affects one affects all. We realize that us and them is simply a phrase that's used because we truly are all one and have that interconnection. And that realization only arrives at us through unconditional love. Marianne Williamson said that keeping our thoughts on love while having our feet planted squarely on the earth is the intersection between heaven and earth. Isn't that beautiful? And I love that because that intersecting point is exactly what it is we're working toward when we say we want that balance and that peace and that harmony in our lives. Because we are in the world, we don't want to be of it. And as spiritual finders, because I don't use the word seeker, it's out there, right? So we're spiritual finders. We notice ourselves willing to take responsibility for our own life, for our own experiences, for our own circumstances. We see the value of inviting in that higher consciousness so it can fill us with that love, with that light, with that knowledge of pure, unconditional love. And in reality, that's all we are anyway, is that unconditional love. That's who you are. Our only issue is in realizing that and accepting that as the truth. It's not our divine reality that's ever in question. It's how much of that reality that we choose to allow ourselves to experience and to express. So to embrace that reality of our divinity does take a transformation of the heart, without any question. And that's a lot different than making an intellectual decision or choice. And I know you know that because most of the time to get to that point, we need to have that spiritual experience to move through that, to make it happen, to do that. And to do that, we open our hearts unconditionally. And we're willing to be vulnerable. We're called, each and every single one of us, we're called to have a magnificent life here on this planet. That is one of the many gifts given to us by God. It's our work to go deep within and find out what magnificent means and looks like for each of us on an individual basis. When we choose to love one another, we transcend that lower ego energy and rise up to that higher truth, that higher consciousness. We recognize our oneness, our wholeness. We recognize our interconnectedness. This planet is so filled with opportunities to experience love and respect and peace and joy. All we have to do is open ourselves to it. And when we realize our potential to have that, to love unconditionally, we are transforming not just ourselves, we are transforming our planet at the very same time. That's the kind of power that you wield every single moment of your life. The choice is always ours, whether or not we want to create a world of joy and happiness, love and goodwill, or not. It's up to us individually. When we reach for that higher within ourselves, people around us will also be called to their highest. Have you noticed that? Think about these people in Paraguay. All of a sudden, these parents don't mind going out through junk heaps and pulling out all this stuff for their kids, for their community, because they're seeing what a difference it makes, not just in their community, but in the world. Course in Miracles says the greatest power God has given us to change the world is the power to change our thoughts about the world. As we change our thoughts, as we do that, the world does transform. It can't help it. These kids were seen as being destined to live the life that their parents lived. And now they're seeing the world, literally. They're outside of their little box. They understand music is this fabulous thing and can change their lives. Violence is down. Drug use is down in that community because they have something to look forward to. They've seen another side of life. And isn't that beautiful? Those who are working as recyclers now have a new purpose in life. They have a new focus. They aren't doing it just for the money. They're doing it for that too. They're doing it to help better that community. And as all of us remember who we are, as we stand in our power and we think and we act and we experience life a little bit differently, we find that we experience life differently. When we see it differently, we experience differently. If you ever find yourself on the verge of getting ready to judge someone, I would invite you to kind of stop and just take a moment and remember their eternal nature, their eternal essence, because you know what? It's yours too. You're one and the same. As we start doing those kinds of things, we are then moving into the birth of our better selves. It's a gradual process. It won't happen overnight. It's a continuous process. And slip-ups happen, and that's okay. That's part of the process too. If you don't remember anything else today, please take this away. Mistakes will never change our essence. You are who you are. Woodrow Wilson wrote this: "You are here to enable the world to live more fully, with greater vision and with a finer spirit of hope and achievement. You are here to enrich the world." And I love that, and I believe that, I know it's true, because every single one of you in one way or another have enriched my world. And I know you've done that for one another as well. And what a beautiful gift. So I want to close this morning with this invitation to go within, to get a renewed sense of God, Spirit, Universe as your source. Believe, don't just believe, know that you live and move and have your being in the presence of that limitless substance. And you have the power to live a life of unconditional love. That is the easy way. So thank you for being here while I share this truth as I understand it.